if there's one guy that I think has a shot to beat John Jones, it's this guy, Tom Aspinall, right here. I'm not saying I would pick Tom to win if they had a fight, if they matched up. I would pick John because John to me is the greatest of all time. I've spieled that enough on this show. Scariest man of all on the planet, the baddest man on the planet, the greatest of all time, everything, all that, right?
Mm.
I would pick him, but I would understand. With all that being said, Tom Aspinall is a live player in this heavyweight division. What say you, Adrian, about everything that I said and the night that was Tom Aspinall versus Sergey Pavlovich?
Oh man, I mean, I agree with everything you said. I mean, Tom Aspinall was a star the key moment he came in and did what he did to I'm sorry, Volkov. And I think that he started stamping his name into this division real fast with all these first round finishes. Same thing with Sergey. If you watch the post conference the post conferences, I like to see what's next, and I like to see how some of these fighters react to certain wins or losses, depending on who shows up and who doesn't. And Tom talked about how there's a heavyweight, or there's an inner ranking circle. There's a ranking circle, and now Sergey is the guy that nobody wants to fight. You know, Sergey's the guy nobody wants to fight. That dude, like that dude was scary. He was the scary guy of the heavyweight division, and I think Tom, although with the fandom, everybody had these question marks about whether or not his striking was going to live up to Sergey's, and he proved a lot of people wrong. He proved that he could go into a second gear. The question is now, if he does manage to get this fight with John Jones, would John Jones even allow Tom to get to that second gear before? Because John has already proven it with Cyril Gane that he will take you down and he will do what he has to do before you can even blink. You know, he's not sitting here waiting. He's not sitting here looking for a bloodbath. He's going to efficiently dismantle you. He will dismiss. He will figure you out. He's gonna figure out what you like, what you don't like, and how he's gonna get in, get out, and get his bag. You know, and so Tom, I think, has a shot. I really do. I agree. I agree with that sentiment, especially with the John Jones of now. Who knows how he's gonna look like after injury? Who's gonna look like after 8 months? We obviously know that John Jones of heavyweight is not John Jones of light heavy, but you know he does look as impressive as anybody could imagine John Jones at this age. So we will have to see about if he can even get that fight. But to go back to saying his praises, like wow, what a performance! Just what a performance!
Yeah, I mean, listen, and we'll go on to the heavyweight division talk, right? The looming question of what's going on in the heavyweight division. So we've got John Jones is obviously the undisputed heavyweight champion. We've got Tom Aspinall as the interim UFC heavyweight champion. And we've got Stipe Miocic, who is looking like he's going to fight John Jones for the undisputed title.
Mm-hmm.
John is obviously out with a torn pectoral muscle. I think I read it's 6 to 8 months, I believe, somewhere in that time frame for a torn pec. Again, it can all vary on how John attacks the rehab and the physical therapy and all that stuff. How his body reacts to it and all that stuff, right? I mean, he is an elite level athlete. We've seen elite level athletes come back from crazy shit.
Also, with the now to interrupt just a minute with the addition of the news of the switching of the company. I'm forgetting. I'm blanking on the name. USADA is no longer
USADA
going to be testing. So who knows what exactly performance runs they will and will not be testing for. So who knows if John will be able to take something that'll speed up that process. You know, he could. I mean, who knows what they will and will be testing for. That's just I always add that because there is the McGregor aspect to that. That's it to add that whole notion. But yeah, I want people to know that we could see John Jones sooner than expected.
You could. I mean, it depends. I'm kind of eyeballing summer as the earliest that we could see that. And like I said, I've stood pat. We're getting John Jones versus Stipe Miocic next. I'm sorry. That's I know a lot of people are crawling and all that stuff about it, and they're saying the fight to make is Jones Aspinall, but I agree with you. But you're wrong because it's John Jones and he gets to dictate John Jones's future because he's the fucking greatest of all time. And when you are the GOAT, you get that type of cachet where you get to call your own shot. All right. So I hear some people say, oh, well, look at Yuri. He relinquished the title. Look at Jamal Hill. He got straight. Look at this guy. He got straight. Again, we're talking about John Jones, the GOAT. Okay. You don't want to upset John Jones where now he's pissed off and you don't get another John Jones fight. For how much is made of the UFC is the UFC and it doesn't matter who's fighting because that company is going to stay strong. 100% agree with you. But guess what? The stars do matter too. And the UFC doesn't want, it's not good for business for the UFC to let a big star like John Jones, their GOAT, walk, not for another company, but basically just put on ice and not fight anymore because you pissed him off. And you don't want to piss off John Jones by killing his legacy fight that he wants with Stipe Miocic. Because if you put Tom Aspinall with Stipe, and I'm not saying Stipe would lose that fight, but Tom has a very, very good shot of winning. I would pick Tom to win that fight. You don't want to kill that goose where now John Jones goes, oh, well, you just, I mean, because we can kill two birds with one stone anyway. You can have your cake. I should say you can have your cake and eat it too. Jones can fight Stipe and fight Tom. All right. Those two things can happen. This is how I picture it. You have Jones and Stipe fight, and I believe Jones gets the job done. You have Tom fight somebody, maybe a Cyril Gane, a Curtis Blades, one of those two guys, or you put Cyril Gane versus somebody and maybe the winner of that fights Tom in the middle of next year because we're not getting Tom Aspinall versus John Jones till possibly late next year, if not early 2025. So Tom has to stay active, right, is what I'm getting at. And I would imagine Tom probably wants some time off. He even said in the post-fight press conference. And we forgot to mention, Tom fucked his back up right before the fight. So
but also,
go ahead.
What do we like? Okay, so let's say you're the interim champion of the world.
Okay.
Are you going to defend your title?
If that's my only option, yeah.
No. But if Dana goes up to you, I mean, if you're, of course, like you have, if your only option and you're the champion, of course you're going to have to defend your title. Yeah. But Dana even said in the presser, like, Tom can take some time off. He's got enough money. But if I'm the champ, the interim champ, and a lot of people's interim championship status is not really looked at as fondly as undisputed. Yeah. So what am I defending this interim belt for? I'm sitting back and waiting for Jones and Stipe to happen. But here's the thing: this isn't the number 1 seed versus the number 8 seed. This isn't like a 7-game series. This isn't even also just like a real like wash of a fight. Like this is a something that Jones could actually, like, anything can happen in MMA. That's the beauty of the sport. Yeah. So if he loses this fight, we won't see the Jones Aspinall fight. And
you could. I mean, if Jones,
with that. But
if Jones loses that fight, we're getting a rematch of Stipe versus Jones.
Probably, most definitely.
Yeah.
But then here's the question though. You still have Tom just sitting there as an interim champ.
That's why I told you, Adrian, that you got to fight. You have to defend the interim championship.
Personally, as a fighter, I would be pissed. I'd be like, yo, what are these guys doing running the back? I already sat away once to let this dude's fight once. I'm not letting them fight again. That belt I should be fighting for that belt. I understand the whole Stipe and
meritocracy.
No, this isn't a democracy at all. I agree that this league was built on the back of these fighters, and also Dana doing his thing, of course. But yeah, man, like I understand this fight is like, okay, you have John Jones fighting. You already took a gamble, getting back in the UFC, going to heavyweight already. He didn't want to, but now he's there. He already is doing something he didn't really want to do, but legacy changing whatsoever. So. But now you add the Stipe fight. So that's just cherry on top. You have the greatest UFC heavyweight. Some want to consider him the greatest heavyweight of all time.
Yeah.
Then you have the greatest fighter of all time to many.
Yes.
And that's the legacy fight. That's a money fight. and that's a legacy fight. So of course that fight entices both of these fighters. But it gets to a point where if that fight happens, of course, even Tom realizes like let that fight happen. Those guys are legends. Let it happen.
Yes.
But if it happens and Jones loses, what? Oh, okay. But why am I going to sit here and wait for a second fight? Like I personally would be like, all right, my turn. Let me fight. Let me fight Stipe for that belt. And if I beat Stipe,
Stipe would walk
then
away.
then I'll fight John for the belt afterwards. But I'm not sitting here waiting for a rematch. No way.
So I hear you. Let's clear it up. Jones Stipe happens. If Jones wins, Stipe is walking away. Stipe is not staying around. Jones is, some people say 50-50, some people say 25-75. I don't think he walks away because I think John Jones's competitive nature won't allow him to, especially if I believe what I believe is going to happen, which is probably Aspinall versus Cyril Gane, and Aspinall fucking Cyril Gane up. No offense. But we've seen the wrestling, we've seen the jiu-jitsu. It is non-existent. It is absolutely non-existent.
I think that
Aspinall will be able to take advantage of that. Nice thumbs up there. So Jones wins, Stipe walks away. I think Jones and Aspinall would happen because I think Tom would take care of Cyril Gane. And I think at that point, and Jones acknowledged him. He said, "Great win, champ. Keep up the great work. You got a great career." I'm paraphrasing. And he's got stacked up wins. So Jones will look at it and say, like, okay, I'll fight this one thoroughbred that they're saying, okay, this is the one, right? Jones will go, this is the one, right? Like y'all said the past 12 times, this is the one. Okay, I'll entertain it one more time. And we get the final fight of Jones versus Aspinall and see, is this guy truly the one? And if he is the one, Adrian, then guess what? We're in for a rematch. And if Jones wins that fight, guess what? We're in for a trilogy and history is made. Either way we cook it. People, let things work out. Jones wants what Jones wants, which is the greatest heavyweight in UFC history, MMA history, whatever call it, the most accomplished heavyweight. He wants that. He wants that because he wants that name on his resume. That is what it's about, people. We all know John Jones. He likes to stroke his own ego, which is great because he's the fucking GOAT and he's allowed to do that. Because if you look at the resume, it is untouchable, unfuckwittable, I should say. And adding that name of Stipe Miocic is a cherry on top, is a great accomplishment. So, yeah, we're going to get what we want, people. As long as Tom wins his next fight against Cyril Gane, which I believe it will be Cyril Gane. It could be Curtis Blaydes, but I think it'll probably be Cyril Gane, which I don't believe either one deserves an opportunity at an interim or a world championship. But them's how it that's how the cookie crumbles sometimes, and we all know that's how it happens. So I cleared it up as best as I possibly could for y'all. It seems pretty clear to me, but that's because I'm listening to what Dana is telling me, and I'm going off of an inkling of they don't want to piss Jones off. That's why he keeps repeating. I mean, it goes back to the Colby Leon fight, right? This entire year, I know Dana says stuff, and Dana says a lot of stuff, then he goes back on it, right? But he stayed pretty consistent about Leon Colby, didn't he? Leon Colby's next for almost a year. Leon Colby, Leon Colby, Leon Colby. We're getting Leon Colby. He has been very consistent. Jones Stipe, Jones Stipe, Jones Stipe. He had a meeting with Stipe before the fight, and he said, "Are you going to retire after this?" Stipe said, "I am only focused on John Jones." Basically, without saying, this is basically it. Like, I'm only focused on Jones, and that's it. So we're going to get these fights, and it's going to, and people, last thing I'll say, people are, talking shit about the Stipe, it's not going to be a super competitive fight. Stipe is going to have a shot. Stipe, it's going to go past around. Trust me. He's going to do much better than what Stipe ain't no pushover even at 44 years old. All right. He's better than what Cyril Gane did. It's about the spectacle. I talked about this last week. The spectacle, the aura around it. We're getting Jones fighting and we're getting Stipe fighting. That's a pretty big